Three. Well, good Sunday, everyone. It is Sunday, November 19th. Wanted to get on do an update video looking at a potential for severe weather across parts of kind of the eastern Texas into Louisiana and Mississippi tomorrow. So that would be Monday, November 20th. We do have a chance of some severe weather and even some strong tornadoes. Storm Prediction Center has increased the threat level today to a 10% risk, including the risk for some violent and stronger tornadoes. So do want to take a look at that, kind of what the forecast timing looks like and what areas will be under the gun. So right here, what we're seeing, this is our upper level wind map. So kind of looking at our troughs and the jet stream, you can see kind of the subtropical kind of trough and jet stream that's going to be moving through tomorrow. Let me kind of slow this down. So this would be, again, kind of in our day tomorrow. And so what we can see is we got this big trough digging down here across kind of the Four Corners area into the South, Texas, Louisiana, and Arkansas. And what you can notice here is these reddish colors here, that's our stronger flow. So as we get into kind of our late morning, midday, that strongest flow is going to be just entering the East Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi area here, kind of right there where that strongest flow is. And this kind of forms a little bit of kind of like a ramp almost. And so those really fast wind speeds aloft are going to be coming in right into this area, kind of late morning into the afternoon hours. And so that's going to be very important for our severe weather that we're likely to see. Now, that's our upper level pattern. When we do look at our, let me get off of this. When we look at the Storm Prediction Center outlook here, so this is for tomorrow, again, Monday afternoon, we do have a level 3 out of 5 enhanced risk here across much of the northern half of Louisiana and then kind of this western portion of Mississippi. So areas really from East Texas, Alexandria, Louisiana, Monroe, Louisiana, including Jackson, Mississippi, Natchez, Vicksburg. Those areas are certainly going to be under the gun for some of the strongest storms and more likely the most kind of plentiful amount of storms in this area here. Could see some severe weather all the way out into parts of East Texas, maybe the Tyler area down to around Beaumont or so, and then all the way across lots of Mississippi, almost to the Mobile, Alabama area as well. When we do look at the actual threats for each type of severe weather, the main threat is going to be for this potential 10% area here in yellow for strong tornadoes. We are going to have enough moisture instability and wind shear to have some significant risk of tornadoes here in this area. Little bit of a hail risk, nothing too crazy, maybe some reports of some little bit larger hail. And then we will have the chance of some significant wind, probably later into those overnight areas across kind of the very eastern portion of Louisiana and then western Mississippi here. But again, I think the tornado threat, that's going to be the most significant threat that we'll see tomorrow. So let's look at what the HRRR, kind of the midday afternoon here environment is looking at. So let's take a look at our moisture. So let me back this up a little bit here. And let's say, maybe around 19Z. So this would be kind of, late morning, early afternoon here. And so this is showing our moisture content. And so we can kind of see where that kind of dry line / cold front's going to be here across the eastern portion of Texas. Then we have kind of a warm front here across Mississippi and southern Arkansas. This area here is where we have our best moisture, and we would call this really our open warm sector. And so we can see there's values here, 68 degree dew point, 68 here in Louisiana, even low 70s here in southeast Texas. But we have really plentiful moisture here across Louisiana and East Texas. This is going to be important for the severe weather threat. Again, this moisture, something that you need, kind of that energy within the atmosphere. And so certainly no issue here, in a pretty wide warm sector, all the way from kind of Jackson, Mississippi, over here to East Texas. So pretty wide warm sector, plenty of area where we could see these storms really firing off. Another thing that we always do want to look at is what is the quality or the presence of instability that may be in the atmosphere. One way that we can kind of look at that is if we look at our energy helicity index. So where we're seeing these kind of blue and even a little bit of these yellow colors, this is where our main instability is going to lie. So again, that cold front is kind of back here. Our warm front is off over here. So that instability builds where that higher moisture is. Also going to be important, any places where we have breaks in the clouds can get a little bit of that sunlight to kind of boil the atmosphere. That will certainly be important as well. But we will certainly have this instability here. The other thing that we like to look at, especially if we're looking for the tornado threat, is look at our storm relative helicity. So this is kind of where we have that increased spin. And so we can see that again, most of Louisiana here, we're going to have 200 150 to 250 meters per second squared of that instability, or again, not instability, but really wind shear at the lowest levels. And so this is important for the tornado genesis. Certainly we'll have rotating storms, but at those lower levels, if there's going to be a tornado threat, you do need to see some of these higher values. And again, it definitely does look present here across much of Louisiana, midday into the afternoon hours. Let's look at kind of our composite reflectivity. And so again, what we can see here is maybe the presence of possibly two different kind of almost bands of storms. So we've got one kind of here across northwest Louisiana, Shreveport area down into East Texas, and then another one kind of out in front here across Louisiana. Sometimes we'll call this kind of a confluence band out ahead. You can sometimes get winds that are kind of just slightly coming in towards one another, maybe from the southwest back behind, and then almost out of the southeast up ahead. So that can kind of give you enough forcing to fire off some storms. Sometimes these can be a little bit more isolated and pose more of a severe weather and tornado threat. So we'll have to be watching. This is kind of the hint that we're seeing here. If we move forward in time here a little bit, let's go. Yeah, this would be about 3 p.m. in the afternoon. So again, we're going to have some storms up here. This would be around the Vicksburg area. Let's take an example sounding here and look at this. It's a little bit contaminated here. Let me try a different one, see if maybe this one might be a little bit less contaminated. So this is a very, very volatile atmosphere. So a couple things worth pointing out here. 64 degree dew point at the surface, 76 degree surface temperature here. We do have a little bit of instability, nothing extreme, kind of that area between the red line and the dashed white line. So some presence of instability. Our moisture does go up pretty high into the atmosphere, so real solid moisture. A little bit of what we would call an elevated mix layer kind of right here. This area where it's a little bit drier, the dew point, this green line is a little bit further to the left. Nothing extreme there, but a little bit of that presence there. Here we can see winds almost out of the southeast at the surface here, then kind of south a little bit above, and then out of the southwest more. So we've got kind of that turning winds with height. That's important, certainly for the tornado threat. And then certainly here, the hodograph, we can see this long looping hodograph in these lowest levels. That is a textbook tornado, kind of Dixie Alley type of a hodograph. The other thing worth noting here, we do have this hodograph extending pretty far out. So we may not have real grungy storms. Typically in the southeast, you can maybe not even see a tornado. We might get enough of this where it kind of ventilates and pushes the rain out away from the actual mesocyclone and possibly where the tornado would be. So we'll have to see if that really bears fruit. But again, anytime that you see this big loop in these lowest kind of two levels here, or 2 kilometers of the atmosphere, that is some significant low-level wind shear here. So definitely a sounding that would be conducive of a tornado threat. So we'll have to watch that as it plays out tomorrow. So again, going back to the Storm Prediction Center outlook, certainly a very dangerous day could be setting up for our Monday across East Texas, Louisiana, and Mississippi, maybe southern Arkansas as well. And so definitely if you're in these areas, make sure you have a way to get watches and warnings. Make sure that you have either National Weather Service or alerts and texts turned on with your phone. That'll be very, very important. So definitely everybody stay weather aware tomorrow, and hopefully this will be a good week here as we get ready for Thanksgiving. And I think it probably will be a chase day for me. I'm going to have to make the final call later this evening, but likely may head over to Louisiana tomorrow to see what I can stir up. It's been a while since I've seen any severe weather, so it might be worth a shot. So I hope this update was helpful, and I'll see everyone back for the next video.